evil biome enough so that you could actually have a good and evil biome. Right there. A good and evil biome. So you could have, like, pretty desert, zombies and ghosts and raining boogers, and fairies and pretty stuff. Oi, Prosectra, how you doing? That's actually a really fucking cool stuff. What does spread good? There is no good. Nothing spreads good. Ooh, man. This was all dwarven. They're all human. Human and elven, even. There's still a few holdout dwarven hillixes. And a few fortresses. So many necromancers. Sonaga? Is that how you say that? It's like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. It's like, hi, my name is Blind, and I hate necromancers. They killed my father. And rezzed him as a zombie. He came back with no head. It was never quite the same. We're still in the age of myth, though. 550 years in. Okay, here's kind of a dwarven holdout. Like, there's a few destroyed forts, but they're still kind of holding out up top. They fucked up your last fortress. I getcha. I'm sorry, but this world is already looking way too cool. We've got, like, all of these kind of evil humans down here. They've been corrupted by something. Is there any, like, dwarven strongholds? Or is everybody just screwed? No, it's a customized version of Krug Smash's tile set. These are a bunch of humans that haven't been corrupted yet, but there's a Necromancer Tower in the middle of them, so they've got like 6 weeks. If you type an exclamation point tile set, you'll get a link to it. I got my artist to customize it a bit. What's the theme for the fort? I'm not making a fort in this world. We're just going to read some legends. Unless there's an overwhelming demand for me to make a fort in this world, in which case then I can. I technically started a new fort yesterday. It's not going well. But I wasn't planning on starting a fort today. Looks like a very janky Europe. Wait, so it looks like Europe? That doesn't work. You can't embark in the middle of an ocean. Also, what part of I'm not making a fort today? Do you not understand, Prosectra? If I were to do a fort in this world, though, it would be right here. Like, in the middle of that. Watch it, like, have no metal or anything. Here's the thing. Necromancers aren't evil, though. Infinity. They're not. I mean, you can't actually make things float on water. Like, yeah, you can build out onto water, but you kind of need to, like, just build on top of it. Like, stuff doesn't actually float. There is a way to bug stuff into floating, but it's abusing physics bugs. It doesn't really work the way you want it to do, and I'd rather not. I don't find that kind of building particularly fun. So, nor is it particularly dwarfy. Besides, especially in a day when I'm saying I'm not building a new fort, and then you're just like, so what's the theme for the fort? And I'm like, but I'm not building a fort today. And then you're like, but what's the theme for the fort? And I'm like, but I'm not building a fort today. I think it's this one. Just chatting. Fair enough. This is an interesting world in the winter. Look at how much gets snowy. It's cold. There's some beat? What do you mean? By some beat. I mean, I'm playing music. That's interesting. What year did everything fucking die? There was something playing over it? Chat, does anybody hear anything? Do I have more technical difficulties happening? I swear to Christ, if there is. Yeah, it's like that year right there. 410 into 420. Or most of the forts die. I've had enough fucking technical difficulties today, Ryan. I don't need more. Yeah, this spot right here. The special unions. That's really cool. Someone's knocking on my door. Hold up. All right. Sorry about that. A record arrived in the mail. This is an interesting one because it's two bands. One side is a band that I really like, Sergeant Thunderhoof, and then the other side is Howling Giant. It's a band I don't know particularly well. But they put this out, and I wasn't originally going to buy it. And then they sent me a coupon for 50% off anything on their store and free shipping because I bought some stuff during lockdown. And they were just like, hey, this is a thank you for keeping us in business. So I was like, and it was just a buy anything on our store. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm buying that new record then. Still waiting for the record player to get fixed. Where is the tomato camera? The tomato camera's up here. It hasn't moved. Just didn't have it running. But yeah, this spot right here is really cool. It's interesting that that map is only giving me the winter map. I mean, I'm glad that they're still in business. Apparently, you know, a lot of bands had some rough times. It was unfortunate. All right, let's have a peek. Well, Ratha Kathu Furpi, the Bronze Colossus, is still alive. There's 2 Bronze Colossi still alive. 3 Bronze Colossi still alive. Hydra unfortunately died. Dragon's dead. Are there any living dragons? One of the Hydras died in the year 405. There's still some Hydras alive. At least a Hydra alive. Plenty of Bronze Colossi. Bronze Colossi are strong, though. 2 Hydras. Is there any male Hydras? Tons of Bronze Colossi still alive. Yep, there's a male Hydra. So there's breeding Hydras alive. Not too many other crazy creatures. This Forgotten Beast died in the year 505. Spoku Olsamespu, Essengek, the coastal, was a forgotten beast. Was the only one of its kind. A great hairy scarab beetle. It has thin wings of stretched skin and it squirms and fidgets. Its tan hair is long and shaggy. Beware its webs. It was associated with water, nightmares, and caverns. Necromancer bards are kind of classic. Got 17 notable kills, including a lot of livestock. Was struck down by a dwarf in important mines. It's Goblin for Lancer? I like this one, just because it's got a good name. Zakrim Zonar Ovas, the Heart of Mold. Still very much alive, has never been seen or encountered anything. It's been alive since pre-time. Zakrim, the Heart of Mold, was a forgotten beast. The only one of its kind, a huge eyeless mouse. It has large mandibles and it is ravening. Beware its deadly dust. It was associated with deformity and caverns. So, Snot, the Heart of Mold. I've seen a few Necromancer bards. I've also seen Necromancer dancers. Which kind of literally is Crypt of the Necro Dancer, I guess. Some DF themed black metal? What if it was made of like black bronze? Then it literally would be a black metal. What, necromancers, Tygo? As long as they're necromancers and not like... were creatures. Just looking for beasts with good names, and then we'll poke around in the world a little bit. Actually, I wonder. I once found a forgotten beast literally just named Toady 1. So I always have to look. Also, bitter corpses. I'm assuming just intelligent undead. This one died in 104. I wonder what happened. Godum Dead Shadow the Deep. Okay, I need to know. What's Godum Dead Shadow the Deep? Godum Dead Shadow the Deep was a forgotten beast. It was the only one of its kind, a huge eyeless petrosaur. It has 4 long spiral horns and it squirms and fidgets. Its orange scales are blocky and close set. Beware its hunger for warm blood. Godum was associated with water, caverns, and blight. Look up the jurists. I mean, we could do a jurist search. We could. One notable kill. Killed Zolac Squeezed Curses, the goblin. But anyway, the one that died. I want to know what happened to you. Maka Ngathkamaka. The Cave Knots of Evil Wisps. The Evil Wisps was a forgotten beast. It was the only one of its kind, a towering humanoid composed of mud. Ew. And it has a twisting, jointed trunk and a bloated body. Beware its poisonous vapors. Maka was associated with lies and caverns and everything disgusting. And it was enemies with lots of things. Well, I mean, of course it died. It was made of mud. It was struck down by a dwarf. Probably just some random miner was like, oh god, and threw a cat at it. And it just went splat. Something. Obi. I want to know what Obi is. I like the really short names. Obi was a forgotten beast, the only one of its kind, a gigantic one-eyed serpent. Ugh. It has 2 long spiral horns, and it is slavering. Its spring green scales are small and set far apart. Beware its dust. It was associated with water and caverns. I like looking at beasts that have died. On Ozobin. On Ugly-Mite. Was a forgotten beast, the only one of its kind. An enormous one-eyed mosquito. Ugly-Mite indeed. It has large mandibles, and it undulates rhythmically. Its red exoskeleton is wrinkled. Ooh. Beware its hunger for warm blood. It's associated with caverns and blight. Not particularly scary, but... was struck down by a dwarf in gravel practice. What happened to you, though? Mesatha. Slave masters. The subordinate of gods. Was a forgotten beast. It was the only one of its kind, a towering feathered slug. It has wings and it belches and croaks. Beware its webs. Ugh. Slug's not particularly scary. Webs on literally anything is kind of scary. 35 notable kills, hence the webs. Struck down by a dwarf in helm fills. 22 other kills. Pretty effective slug, I would say. What about this one? Died in year 68. Zolac the Sinful. Was a forgotten beast, the only one of its kind. Struck down by a dwarf in net shimmer. A towering eyeless ape. Twisted into a humanoid form. It appears to be emaciated and its rose hair is short and even. Beware its noxious secretions. It was associated with murder and caverns and didn't do very well. It attacked the stockade of lizards at Net Shimmer and just died. Oge Fleck Flag, the Deferent, was a forgotten beast, the only one of its kind, a towering three-eyed serpent. It has a pair of long antennae, and it has a gaunt appearance. Beware its deadly spittle. Oge was associated with water, thraldom, and caverns. This one died in year 3. Although we need to look up this Marsh Titan. This thing had quite the fight in year 3. Egath Diamond Tulips, the Viper of Gulfs, was a mountain titan. It was the only one of its kind, a gigantic one-eyed fantail. It has a fat, bulging trunk and an austere look about it. Its pale blue feathers are patchy. Beware its fire. Egath was associated with nature's minerals, caverns, and animals. Yeah, I wonder if this is the first one to die in history. Oh, it wandered the Great Finger. The Great Finger was that, during World Gen, there was that really big mountain range that kind of got mostly obliterated by humans with, that was full of dwarves at one point. That's where this thing was wandering. I'll be back in a second, chat. Gotta do something real quick. Sorry. Suddenly just needed to pee kind of out of nowhere. All right, so let's take a look at this thing. It was struck down by a dwarf. Wow. Did quite well. Hold on a second. It died in... Explain this to me, chat. It died in year 3. It was struck down by a dwarf in Frilly Ringed. And has 13 notable kills. Mostly dwarves, all normal. In year 3. But killed a dwarf rotten zombie that died in 516? The hell happened there? Plankskin, the rotten zombie. Also, chat room, can I get a round of beers in chat? A little lurky. That tends to happen with this, when I do Legends stuff. I think we need to look up Plankskin. What do you guys think? Plankskin was the Baroness of the Tomb of Trumpets in year 2. Settled in Frillyringed, the last bad decision they ever made. Found a lover in Lolar Singed Rope. And in the early spring of year 3, Rice's left eyelid was smashed by the mountain titan Igath Diamond Tulips, the Viper of Gulfs. His left eye was smashed by the mountain titan Igath Diamond Tulips, the Viper of Gulfs. Had the shit kicked in and was struck down by the mountain titan Igath Diamond Tulips, the Viper of Gulfs. Yeah, right? And then in the year 481, Rith was brought back from the dead by the dwarf necromancer Mezbuth Powertrades as the rotten zombie in Frilly Ringed. So, you know how we noticed that that whole mountain range kind of got taken over by evil humans mostly? This dwarf must be a necromancer that's part of those evil humans. Rith fought in a bunch of sieges on the assault on Labor Wheel, Brass Stations, Foot Channel. Those are all dwarven forts. This is around the time that that whole area got wiped out. I like this. The dwarf rotten zombie Torsid Glazespread, the brutal lash, and Rith cemented a friendship amidst the horror of combat. But in the year 516, Rith was struck down by the Brute of Glass, Smaz Mother Thieves, the Trest with Braided Trout, the Scream of Cities. That is a long name. You have one notable kill and 20 other kills. Huh. I think I need to know who the Brute of Glass, Smaz Mother Thieves, the Trest, with Braided Trout, the Stream of Cities. That's a bit of a mouthful. Oh, actually, with probably was a an artifact. Ah, Braided Trout, the Stream of Cities, a bronze warhammer. There's a bronze warhammer. All Craftstor ship is of the highest quality. It is decorated with elkbird bone and horse bone. Braided Trout, the Stream of Cities was created in manner sculpted by the dwarf rotten zombie Aloth Sinkdagger. The Stream of Cities was offered to the dwarf Rock Clashes of the Tomb of Trumpets by the dwarf rotten zombie Aloth. So it was what, 512? Interesting. Not a very scary first name, but still, even though the first name means sparkle, the dwarf rotten zombie Lightast. Yeah. So I need to look up the Brute of Glass, Smaz Mother Thieves. Oh, I'm still in artifacts. There you are. The Brute of Glass, who died in the year 16. Smaz Mother Thieves, the Trest was a Brute of Glass. It was the only one of its kind. A gigantic tapir twisted into humanoid form. It was composed of green glass, and it has a gaunt appearance. Beware its poisonous vapors. Smaz was associated with lies and beauty. Smaz thrust a spire of Slade up from the underworld, naming it the Palace of Riddles, and established a gateway between the worlds in Yellow Scourge. In the time before time, Smaz became the master of the Tame of Torment, and Smaz settled in Yellow Scourge. Smaz ruled the Palace of Riddles of the Tame of Torment in Yellow Scourge. It's a glass demon, yeah. A demon made of glass. Seems to be taming blind cave boars in the underworld. Murdering a lot of elves. And goblins and then dwarves. Doesn't discriminate, just murders everybody. The Brown Haunt. The Brown Haunt was offered to Smaz, the Tame of Torment, by the dwarf Bambool Traded Pulley. He seems to just murder a lot of things. And now they're starting to invade stuff in the year 300. Lots of murder in the late 300s. But then what happens in the year 516 that causes Smaz to die? Smaz fought in the ferocious assault in the defense of Yeld Scourge. In the year 516, Smaz struck down the dwarf rotten zombie Asmil Lance-Tranced, the Fed Butcher in Yellow Scourge. In the early spring of 516, Clash Stain, the Bad Froth, was looted by the Fed Butcher. The zombie Asmil Lance-Trace, the Fed Butcher. That's a good name. He claimed the Bad Froth, struck down a bunch of dwarves, a whole bunch of dwarves. Looted a whole lot of stuff, but what happens? Oh my god. In the end of 516, he claimed a bunch of artifacts, and then the zombie hill titan, Moistenwood, confronted Smaz. And Smaz was struck down by the zombie hill titan, Moistenwood, in Yeld Scourge. That's really cool. He was killed by a zombie. Not just any zombie, but a zombie hill titan. Like, holy shit. You mean Smaz got smashed? Because I'm creative. Is there anything specific you guys would like me to look up? Well, first off, I need to look up that zombie hill titan, obviously. Moisten Wood. Moisten Wood was Elso Coast Panther's corpse, animated by unknown forces, a huge scaly mite. It has a square shell and a regal bearing. Its lavender blush scales are round and close set. Beware its deadly spittle. Imagine just getting attacked by that shit. Like how to end a fort real bloody quick. Get attacked by that. Yeah, so the year 516 struck down the Brute of Glass, Smaz, Mother Thieves, the Trest in Yellow Scourge, and then proceeded to fight in a whole number of assaults and get 2 notable kills and 20 other kills. Yeah. An unknown forces called Moistenwood. But it was the body of Elso. Coast Panthers. Yeah, also Coast Panthers, who died in 75. So it was this thing's body. Got 4 notable kills and 5 other kills. It was a hill titan, one of the only ones of its kind. A huge scaly mite with a square shell and a regal appearance. Its lavender blush scales are round and close set. Beware its deadly spittle. You've not seen that before? I've seen it happen in-game. I've seen people get possessed by dead ghosts. But unknown forces? Like, do you think it could have been a ghost calling itself Moistenwood? Like, what could that have been? I mean, maybe it could have just been a necromancer. I see, there you go. Actually, that just answered my question. In the late autumn of 511, the body of Elso was animated by the dwarf necromancer Mezbuth Powertrades in Monster Cry. Which is interesting. Because like they must have just kept its corpse because it attacked Monster Cry. Yeah, exactly. What kind of evil forces? Someone should write a book based on info from Dwarven Legends. Oh, you could write multiple books. You could write a series. Oh, this is a long history. What year did that happen? It's 5 something, right? 511? It's not too bad, actually. No, but here's the thing, right? I've had, like, unruly spirits, like undead ghosts, possess dwarves and, like, make them go kill a whole bunch of things, right? The body of the hill titan Elso Coast Panthers was animated by Mezbuth and Monster Cry. Yeah. Like, that's... It just glazes right over it. What are you, Moistenwood? Was animated by unknown forces. I mean, okay, so Moistenwood must just be the name of the spell or something. Because this is interesting, right? Well, actually, no, it doesn't. Because wouldn't it say in this creature's history? Because it doesn't, right? Like, that's what's weird about it, right? It's totally normal for there to be a creature. Let's just say it's Urist, right? Urist dwarf, born in year 10, okay? Dies in year 20. Year 50, brought back to life by ex-necromancer as zombie. Continues rest of life, dies normally. Or dies again, later down the line. I've never seen creature, born in year whatever, dies, gets reanimated, and then history ends, and then it's split off into another entity. In this case, Moistenwood. I've never seen that before. It must be, yeah. Do you think it's a lieutenant? Because Corrupt blames the ignited sin was offered to the necromancer Mezbuth Powertrades. Because, like, here in 516, he's offering an artifact or a book or something to Powertrades. Like, maybe that's what it is, because I know that they can resurrect lieutenants to go about their bidding. Maybe that's what it is. Taking it from one being to being a unique secondary being. Yeah, exactly. Like, Moistenwood must be some sort of force or something. Or maybe the thing called Moistenwood wanted to kill the demon because he killed the demon mighty close after he was rezzed, right? He was rezzed in 511. Maybe they were plotting together or something to go kill the demon. And we're like, okay, Moistenwood, I will give you this body if you go kill this demon. Because after that point, they seem to just kind of split. Like, Moistenwood is rezzed, fought in the Incinerated Siege against Dankor. By the way, Dankor is a great name. And then the same year, fought in the Ferocious Assault at Yellow Scourge, confronted the Brute of Glass Smaz, the Trest, struck down the Brute of Glass Smaz, the Trest, and then looted Grizzly Bell and gave it to the Necromancer. Maybe it was a plot to get Grizzly Bell. Could have been a plot to get Grizzly... So, normally in Dwarf Fortress, when you have a plot to steal an artifact, right? When you have a plot to steal an artifact, they show up, and it's like a normal dude. I'm just saying, imagine a goddamn Hill Titan shows up at your fort and is all like, yo, give me that scroll. Zombie Hill Titan. This is my quest. I need this item. I mean, I've had zombies, like intelligent undead, try and steal artifacts before. But generally, it's just like normal-ass dwarf or goblin. That being said, there was no lines about trying to corrupt the demon or the thing in order to have an agent in X place. There was none of that. Chat, press 1 if you find this as interesting as I do, because good lord. There's so much extrapolation and possibilities and ideas going on here. Necromancer's just got a bit scarier. A bit? I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, so I remember. What's happening? Dwarf Fortress and then Risk of Rain 1.0 is what's happening, Bamboozer. 25 seconds delay. Oh no. Yeah, I need to look up Grizzly Bell. There's a Tower Cat Bracelet. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. This object menaced with spikes of elk bone. Elkbird bone. So it's a cavern artifact, basically. Elkbird bone. That's interesting, though. That's craftsmanship. And it's both elkbird bone and tower cap. So it was either a goblin... Oh, it was made... Hold on a second. What? It was Why does it say craftsmanship if it was created by a dwarf? I'm sorry, what? That's not how that works. It should have said all craftsmanship. What? Was made a symbol of the barren earth scorching by the Tomb of Trumpets. Was lost in earth scorching. Found in earth scorching. Sounds like my apartment. Offered to a dwarf Bim. Lost and found. Stored in Frilly Ringed. Was acquired in Frilly Winged by the dwarf Cog. Was lost. Offered. Looted by the dwarf Rotten Zombie Erish Mine Chant, the deep fat. After defeating the dwarf Nomal Scribble Labored. It's made a family heirloom by the Deep Fat. Then was lost in Yellow Scourge and then looted in Yellow Scourge by the zombie hill titan Moistenwood during the conquest of Yellow Scourge. And then was offered to the dwarf necromancer Mezboth power trades of the earthen seals by the zombie hill titan and was made the symbol of the commander by the earthen seals. I guess so. What's the name of the civ? Mine Salves. Actually, Mine Salves is, I think, one of those fortresses in that... the Tomb of Trumpets. No, it's a dwarven civilization of the world of dawns. The dwarf Moses Waldsearch was a general. Frilly Ringed was just a place that a lot of stuff happened at. Oh, that's civilizations. Not sites. Frilly Ringed was a fortress. The Grisly Sabers of the Tomb of Trumpets founded Frillyring. Had a procession. Yeah, no, everything started at Frillyringed. Frillyringed was where everything began. Frillyringed was where the mountain titan Igath Diamond Tulips attacked. Was a mountain titan. It was the only one of his kind. A gigantic one-eyed fantail. Yeah. Do you want me to Google Translate that, Jocko? I mean, I can guess. I'm doing all right. I'm doing a little bit of Legends today. Yeah, no, so... Oh yeah, excuse me. Yeah, no, that was the first town that Igath attacked, which was a rather unremarkable beast. But they were also attacked by the Might that became Moistenwood, if I remember correctly. I'm still like, I still can't get over Moistenwood. We have a Urist Dwarven god. The Certainty of Daggers. The Certainty of Daggers was a deity that occurs in the myths of the defensive whip. The Certainty was most often depicted as a male dwarf and was associated with victory, war, and fortresses. The Certainty of Daggers. Certainty Daggers. Because Stone always likes us to look up all of the Urists. Eurist Board Vision was a dwarf. She was one of the first of her kind. Was the queen of the fenced banners. Eurist and Eurist urged tragedy, became lovers. Eurist and Eurist broke up. Found another lover in the year 20. Seems to be a bit of a man-eater. Oh, never mind. Got back together in the year 49 with Eurist Urge Treaty. And they got married. 48, and they got married in 49. And then immediately in the year 52 found another lover. But broke up with that other lover a year later. I technically have 3, but one of them is on permanent hiatus, Jocko. Bunch of sword throwing competitions, foot races. And the attack of clubs and assault on bolt jackals. So what happened to Eurist Board Vision? I like that Eurist married Eurist. Oh. Died of old age in the year 90. But, the Orbs of Turquoise was acquired in Honor Whip by Asab Waldglove, an heirloom of Eurist Board Vision, a family after the death of Rag Borderslip. In the War of Idols was acquired, so their artifacts were acquired. But in the year 242, the body of Eurist was animated by the human necromancer Spessit Boardwill. Here's the question: did you go off to do anything? Did he go off to do anything, or did he just like, oh, you was animated? Keep the bloodline strong and plentiful indeed, yes. Inheritance before zombification. Meanwhile, Eurist Urge Tragedy was one of the first of his kind. He was the mayor of the Spread Doors, became a lover with the previous Eurist that we were just reading about, but in the late autumn got attacked by a Minotaur. His lower arm was slashed by the Minotaur. Eurist managed to escape from the Minotaur. Broke up with the Eurist, and Eurist and Amos became lovers, broke up, and the Dwarf lost Hunter. Dwarf lost Hunter. So the Dwarf lost Hunter, Yuvkish, painted knowing must have become a zombie later. They broke up, and then got married in the year 49, and then fought in the Assault of Whips in the defense of Honor Whip, and his left arm was ripped by Merle whip grooves, and his lower lip was stabbed, and he was struck down by Merle rip grooves. So, had a lover in year 1, was one of the first of his kind, had a happy life in general, or had a sad life with trying to, like, got attacked by a Minotaur in year 1, tried to just find love and settle down, finally got married to his original lover, and got killed in combat. Has a bunch of kids, though. Killed a jaguar in Honor Whip. Poor Eurist. Eurist Catan Latour was a dwarf, one of the first of his kind. Became an outpost liaison on the defensive whip. Found some lovers. Took part in the defensive whip's hammer throwing competition in the year 3. There were 9 competitors, including Eurist. Locum won, though. Married Vakar, got divorced a couple years later. Found a few other lovers. Began embezzling funds as the outpost liaison of the defensive whip. Participated in a foot race. There were 9 competitors and didn't win. Took part in another foot race a few years later. Still didn't win. Took part in another foot race a year later. And definitely wasn't the win. Did you ever win any of these foot races? Nope. Oh, wait, hold on. In year 70, in a foot race in Cyclone Knife happened as part of the blockaded celebration. Competing was Urist, Dusum, a Jamhail, and the dwarf lost hunter Zephron, and Urist was the victor. In the year 70, Urist finally won a foot race. How wonderful. Yeah, I mean, also wrestling, apparently, Ryan. Like, as he participates in another foot race and wasn't the victor, or was not the victor. Another Urist was the victor. But competed in a wrestling competition, and the blind brute Redari Just Sharks, the incinerated leader, the Fathers, was the victor. You know, I'm gonna say right now, the defensive whip maybe needs like different weight classes, because in the year 174, that wrestling competition seems a little rigged in the fare of the blind brute Redari Just Sharks, the incinerated leader. Probably was a little bit of a higher advantage there. Also, somebody like look up the name of that person, or write down the name of that person, because I need to look that up in a minute. But in the year 86, died of old age, competing in wrestling competitions right up to the very end, always losing to the blind brute Redari, the incinerated leader of Fathers. Also, in 82, fought against a panda fiend named Ast Ghost Chaos, the greatest strike. Yeah, these wrestling competitions, like this isn't a fair fight. Like, I'm no sports adjudicator, but like, that doesn't seem fair. Oh yeah, if you make a fortress, they definitely appear in Legendary, in the Legends. Ast. A-S-T. A-S-T. Ast. Yeah, Ast. The Panda Fiend, A-S-T, Ghost Chaos, the greatest strike. Well, first off, I need to figure out who the incinerated leader was. The male blind brute. Okay, so this is a very long history, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But Redari, Justice Sharks, the incinerated leader of Fathers, was a blind brute. He was the first of his kind and an enormous eyeless Canadian, twisted into humanoid form. It squirms and fidgets, and its clear hair is patchy. Beware its noxious secretions. It was a beaver. What's up, Mossy? Those things. Somebody clip that, because I'm funny. And time before time, thrust from the underworld and the blah, 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 blah. All right, let's look up the. I want to know who the panda brute is. Panda. Wait, what was the name of the other one? It was the incinerated leader of Fathers. What was the other one? Oh, well, yesterday in the fortress before I ended it, there was a artifact which was a donkey leather cap menacing with salt rock spikes. So it was literally a salty ass hat. Yeah. Which is pretty great. What was the name of that other demon? Urist. I think it was you. What was the name of that other? That was is the greatest strike. Also, apparently, this poor Urist had a false friendship. Anyway. The great... Ah, there we go. Male panda fiend. Mivafa died cloated. The greatest pride. Wait, no, that's the greatest pride. What? Oh, there's multiple. Okay. Asked Ghost Chaos, the greatest strike, was a panda fiend. She was one of the only ones of her kind, a great scaly panda twisted into humanoid form. It squirms and fidgets, and its gray scales are large and set far apart. Beware its fire. Ast was associated with war and death. Probably not a fair fight. I'm just gonna say that right here. Probably not a fair fight. But how's things, Mossy? How was your stream the other night? All right, let's go back to jurists. Okay, so female dwarf, I think, is the next one. Jurist Light Clasps was a dwarf born in year 9. Was the eldest daughter of those two. Had some childhood friends. Became a bard in Walled Abbey. Found her first lover in the year 22. And We See Rots was authored by Jurist. Tooth, The Sans Morn was authored by Jurist. After a Nightmare. What are you pumping with said screw pump system, if I can ask? How am I doing? All of the technical difficulties today. It is... Slice and Collide, track 21 of the Endless Space 1 soundtrack. Became a master of Atir, your paint, and master of Rith. Yeah, seems to just be a bard who wrote a lot of books. Took part in a foot race, didn't win. More of the same. You know, just lots and lots and lots of lovers. Ooh, fought in some sieges. Master, surely the wind knows there was authored. And It Sang Grove was authored. I mean, that's not super lame. Water's dangerous. Do ghosts exist in DF? Yep, they do. They can also possess and torment dwarves. Wow. Battle Bard. Was a bard in the early years and became a military dwarf and fought in a lot of wars. And also was authoring books all throughout. It's a great dwarf of history, honestly. These are all battles, and there's the occasional, like, became a master, found another lover, got married in the year 120 something. The Noseless Despair and Moths was authored by Jurist in Lancer Seals after a Nightmare. The Noseless Despair and Moths. Found another lover. In the early autumn of 131, the Kadokai's demon, Hollow Hunter, Sibu Violence Witch, as the goblin scholar Atir, defenses of the defensive whip, formed a false friendship with Jurist in order to extract information in Lancer Seals. So a demon yellow hunter convinced the goblin scholar Atir Roxbegin, the defensive whip. But Jurist seemed to just continue on fighting. These are all fights. Got divorced towards the end of their life. Fought in a few more sieges, but was struck down by the sheep monster. Rithi. Flight Sucks. The Passionate Puss. With Kissed Leopards. In Yellsringed. Do we remember Yells? I think we need to look up Yellsringed. Lots of shit seems to have happened in Yellsringed. It's the mountain halls of Yellsringed. Like, I have a feeling they dug too deep. Like, not much happened in the early years. Okay, so they were founded in the year 81. Bunch of dwarves settled. I'm looking for things that stand out. The dwarf Olon was abducted by the goblin Nigzu. They started off pretty bad. They fought with the Forgotten Beast. Also, Ragpage is a good name. Yeah, the Forgotten Beast, Muka, Cave Knots, the Evil Wisps, attacked the West Arena at Yellsringed. Something happens here. The Fatal Scorpion attacked the West Arena. Oh, here we go. Ah, there you go. In the year 161, the West Arena of the Defensive Whip breached the underworld at Yellsringed. In the midwinter of 161, the Fatal Scorpion attacked the West Arena at Yellsringed. The Sheep Monster, Wrathy Flightsinks, the Passionate Pus, led the attack, and the defenders were led by the dwarf led Steel Vision. Yeah, and then it looks like it seems kind of like a massacre. Bodies of many dwarves. Ooh, that's dark. The Fatal Scorpion defeated the West Arena at the Defensive Whip and took over Yellsringed. The new government was called the Wicked Weasels. The dwarf Fogshot was hacked to pieces by the goblin Aksu, Dive Menace, and the dwarf Nil Whiskerroof was beheaded by the goblin Amaksu, Dive Menace, in Yellsringed. The dwarf Meng was drowned by the goblin Axmu, and the dwarf Erdem, Speechless Shield, was crucified. A bunch of dwarven corpses were horribly mutilated by the Fatal Scorpion in Yellsringed. And then the Sheep Monster, Passionate Pus, settled in Yellsringed. But later that year, the Defensive Whip attacked the Wicked Weasels and the Fatal Scorpion at Yellsringed. The dwarf Unib Strong Manners led the attack. And the defenders were led by the Sheep Monster Rithi Flightsucks, the Passionate Pus. The Knight of Ice were hired by the attackers. The fight breaks out. Many goblins were struck down by dwarves. Many dwarves were struck down by goblins. The fight rages on. Ooh. That sheep monster. A lot of elves and humans as well taking part in this fight. It's got to be some sort of, like, coalition alliance. With Absolute Gully. With the Absolute Gully. I'm sure that that's just a named weapon, but that's a funny thing to be fighting with the sheep monster with. Hey, Raffle Knife. I like how everybody's just getting murdered, and then Pathways to the Food Chain was lost in Yellsringed. Question Animal Diets was lost in Yellsringed. This is all just murder. Artifacts being lost. Okay, I need to look up Flight Sucks. That sheep monster, I think. Yeah, all of the commotion. Stone. This is all still the same fight. In the late winter of 161. This is all still the same fight. Pathway? Someone must have been writing a lot about animals because we've had books about food chains and eating habits, and pathways to the movements of animals was lost. More metals was lost. Oh no. That sounds like a very dwarfy book. Yeah, it's elves, humans, and dwarves all fighting together against this demon. We're still fighting with the passionate pus. That... I want to know how many kills this thing has. It's still going. Still in the late winter. I'm seeing lots of elves now. I think I can tell you who won. Is devouring everything. Yep. I think I can tell you who won. Oh, that was like all one fight. Not like multiple years. No, that was just in the late winter. In the late winter in the year 161. And he's still alive in the late 300s. In fact, he returns in the year 331. Left for a bit. Yeah, no, looks like it just maintains. Rithy Flight Sucks was a sheep monster. It was the only one of its kind. A great eyeless sheep, twisted into humanoid form. It murmurs horrible curses, and its dark green hair is long and shaggy. Beware its deadly blood. Rithy was associated with lust and depravity, and wasn't woken up until the year 161. But now I'm going to scroll down for a little bit because, like, we're going to go through that whole fight again. So, how you doing, chat room? We all doing good out there? Let me just, like, open up my phone, just check emails. Yeah, bit. Remembers fuck, shit, and butts. New Krug Smash post on Patreon. Oh yeah, new DF talk out. I haven't finished listening to it yet, though. I'll abridge it just like the last one. This is just the same fight that we're scrolling through. We're around halfway through. Almost halfway through. I want to know how many kills this thing has. Any bets on how many kills this is? I'm guessing it probably more than 3. Oh, the whole time it's just like cussing. The whole time. The whole time it's just like by Armok's hammer. Screw it then. Hello. What's up? 960 notable kills. Not too shabby. $1,970 other kills. I mean, I don't know, you popped in. I was gonna say fuck it, but you popped in, so I was like, well, screw it, I guess. This creature mutters curse words. So I figured it would be fitting. This is Rithi Flightsucks, the Passionate Puss. A sheep monster. Fellowship of Evisceration. Oh, interesting. Is an ardent worshiper of the certainty of daggers. That is a dwarf god named Urist. Yeah. That creature was a worshiper of the certainty of daggers, a deity that occurs in the midst of the defensive whip, a dwarven civilization. Most often depicted as a male dwarf and associated with war and fortresses. Yep. Every single one of those names that we scrolled past at 1 billion miles an hour, you could go read about. Let's look up some more Urists. Urist Bright Tours, the Dwarven Necromancer. Urist was a dwarf necromancer born in 28. She was the third eldest daughter of Deller and Zon. Had a childhood friend who would become a dwarf rotten zombie stalker. Had a few lovers. A few more lovers. In the year 143, became obsessed with her own mortality and sought to extend her life by any means necessary. Began worshipping the Ashen. Settled in Frilly-Ringed. Became the Baroness of the Tomb of Trumpets. The Tangled Cuts was acquired as the symbol of authority within the Tomb of Trumpets. Urist and Moses Dented mansions became friends due to a shared interest in music after a performance, and broke up with another lover. They held some foot races, none of which our dwarf was the victor of. In the year 183, began teaching other dwarves the secrets of life and death. Began the ardent worship began apprenticeship, there you go, under the dwarf necromancer Stukos. And taught some more dwarf necromancers the secrets of life and death. Authored some books. A lot of books. Brought some zombies back from dead. Very much, yeah. Urist wrote a lot of books in this case. Including Untitled and Curse the Tower and Untitled. In 420 wrote 2 books called Untitled. In the mid 400s wrote 3 books called Untitled. Against the Dwarf. That's a good name. Another more Untitled. I wonder what I feel like Untitled has to be a bug, you know? And is still alive to this day, writing books. Their letters? Oh, well then it should say wrote a letter. Oh, this is a short-lived one. Urist, cloistered eagles, male dwarf, born in year 30, died in year 33. Aw. Was a dwarf born in year 33. He was the youngest son of Rovad and Adil. In the year 33, the Forgotten Beast, Anu, Fate Chaos. Fate? Fate Echoes. There you go. Fate Echoes, the Hollow, attacked Urist. Urist's nose was smashed by the Forgotten Beast and was struck down by the Forgotten Beast. Forgotten Beast devoured Urist. I shouldn't laugh at that. That's someone's 3-year-old kid. Yeah, but it should say that it's a letter. I don't know. That's really sad. Poor kid. All right. Urist Crevice Blockade. Urist Crevice Blockade was a dwarf born in the year 31. Was the 5th eldest son of Vakar Seized Canyons. Had a false friendship formed. Gazes. Problematic. Gaze is Problematic was authored by Urist Channel-Edsky. Channel Blockade. Seems to have lots of false friendships. Had a bunch of apprentices. Wrote a bunch of books. A lot of very active authors. Died of old age in the year 200. Did well gambling in the year 93. So was born. Had some people try and extort information out of him. Got married and divorced a couple times. Wrote some books and did well gambling. Didn't really fight in any fights. Forgotten bees. I mean, I guess you could have a forgotten beast that is also bees. That feeling when you're like, yeah, let's see what the Risk of Rain 2 directory looks like. 70,000 people watching Risk of Rain 2. Ugh. Whole lot of really busy directories, too. That's gonna be fun to compete with. Let's check out this Urist. Was born in the year 39, was the eldest daughter of Zephon and Zon. In the year 41, when he was 2, got attacked by the bronze colossus Liwa Denslaughter, the champion of competitions. The champion of competitions fought with Urist, while defeated the latter escaped unscathed. Had some friends, got married in the year 160. Got divorced in the year 191. Competed in some foot races. First foot races. Didn't win any of them. And died in the year 203. A lot of long-lived dwarves. I mean, Urist Earth-Circled was one of the first of his kind. Became the mayor of the Auburn Bolt in the year 41. Found a lover in the year 44. The giant cave spider, Gestriths fought with Urist. Sense belts. got married, took part in a lot of wrestling competitions, and seems that demons won all of them. I love how demons, this is something that I've noticed throughout Legends ever since the last update. Demons seem to always have a secondary life of just going about and competing in wrestling competitions. They all seem to fucking do that. Like, they get into... They murder thousands of dwarves, and then they become peaceful and just wander the lands competing in wrestling competitions. They're the best... Yeah, exactly. They don't really do many face turns, though, so it makes for boring storylines. They just win everything. The Weasel Devil, M. Fog Eyes, the Poison Fiend. Panda Fiend, Maiva. The Greatest Pride was the other one. This jurist killed one troll, but was struck down by a winged monster in the Forest of Deeps. A winged monster? Was then animated in the year 514. In the Forest of Deeps by a dwarf necromancer named Bomrek Rooter City. Huh. Hell is this? Sorry, I just saw something off stream. Oh. Shroud's coming back to Twitch. And no one was shocked? Was also sent a code for a little top-down hack and slash indie game where you can throw swords at things. Looks okay. Need to be checked for steroids? Yeah. I'm sure doping is probably a problem within the demon wrestling rings. In a Krug Smash video of Legends, the dwarf have a god of ugly deformation. That's not rare at all. Actually, let's look. Can I just type in god? No, that doesn't work the way I want it to. I wish there was a way to just search for deities. But gods of deformities are pretty common. But yeah, no, gods of deformities and disease and death and all that stuff are pretty common. I mean, just saying it's a sphere doesn't help people who don't know what a sphere is. Here we go. The kindness of heaven. The kindness of heaven was a deity that occurs in the midst of the special unions. Special. Often depicted as a female human and was associated with peace. Got Stutar Necros the Dead. Was a deity that occurs in the midst of the special unions, most often depicted as a male human and was associated with death. Another human goddess. The Greatest Howl was a deity that occurs in the myth of the special unions, most often depicted as a female human and was associated with seasons, writing, poetry, persuasion, and speech. Here's an elven force. Lil was an elven force which was said to permeate the forests of opening, was associated with rivers and nature. I see some dwarven gods down here. Ibel was a deity that occurs in the mists of the Spry City. Ibel was most often depicted as a female dwarf and was associated with youth and longevity. Gulgun was a myth that occurs also in the Spry City. Gulgun, most often depicted as male dwarf, was associated with Blight, the god of Blight. Lemis, also from the Spry City, dwarven god, most often takes the form of a male dwarf and is associated with hunting. Was it that bad, Gold Poke? I mean, I would describe that as like a long and healthy life. Ost, human goddess. In the midst of the realms of culmination, derp. There's spots in my vision right now because there's bright light shining in through the window. Ost was most often depicted as a female human and was associated with murder and death. There's a god of murder and death. It's an evil god, if that's your idea of him. Another god of the realms of culmination. Male human, associated with art and inspiration. Testri, the Quiet Day, was a deity that occurs in the midst of the realm of culmination. Most often depicted as a female human and was associated with silence. I mean, I often have gods of deformity and death and stuff like that. Yeah. This is a god of volcanoes, Usmak the Fiery.
Greetings.
Von Roland, thank you very much for the Prime subscription for 32 months. Chat, can I get a big proper round of beers in chat for Von Roland? Thanks for supporting the stream and helping me do this full time. Seriously, those go a long way. They really do, and they add up. They certainly do. So thank you. The Courteous Sacrifice of Saints was a deity that occurs in the myths of the realms of culmination. The Courteous Sacrifice, most often depicted as a female human, and was associated with generosity and charity. It's an interesting name. Lots of human gods. Let's see if I can find some dwarf gods. Hey, got a legendary kobold. Lulus was a kobold, was the first of their kind. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Was a ranger in the Shadow of Queens. Huh. Was struck down by a dragon. Zeden. Pearl Nice. The Gold Luxuries. And Prowl Knights. The Shadow Queens. Ulu de Nightmare. The Terrible. Is a lizard demon, the only one of its kind, an enormous one-eyed lizard and twisted into humanoid form. It undulates rhythmically, and its black scales are large and close set. Beware its poisonous gas. Was associated with murder, disease, deformity, death, and blight. They, in theory, could worship that thing as a god. Nagok, the Dreamy Jaws, was a deity that occurs in the myths of the Union of Bridges. Nagok, most often depicted as a male human, and associated with nightmares and dreams. It's a good one. Looking for more dwarf gods, though. Ah, there we go. Dwarven goddess, Ibmat, Mine-crested, was a deity that occurs in the myths of the Fenced Banners. Ibmat was most often depicted as a female dwarf. Was associated with fire, volcanoes, earth, and mountains. The Die of Granite, Alron, was a deity that is occurs in the myths of the fenced banners. Auron most often takes the form of a female dwarf and was associated with jewels. Moses, Tombs Fatal. The dead oblivion of dust was a deity that occurs in the myths of the fenced banners. Moses was most often depicted as a male dwarf and associated with death. How do you imagine them to look? Depends on what they're made of, too. That's the beauty of DF, right? Unless it gives you something very specific, it's totally up to you to just imagine it. Because who knows what they look like? Raul was a deity that occurs in the myths of the fenced banners. Most often takes the form of a female dwarf and was associated with wealth. There's a lot of dwarven gods in here. A lot. I'm sorry, what? Punchrailgin, the Cobalt Empty Hunter, was one of the first of her kind. Decided to become a thief, operating out of the depth of valleys in year 1. A leopard bone bracelet was stolen from the dimpled domicile Roselip. Fought with a human while defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. A donkey hoof crown was stolen, a hyena bone earring, and a human surprise Perlin, and they fought. Defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. In the year 7, a cowhorn scepter was stolen. In the year 8, an ocean sunfish was stolen. In the mid-autumn of year 9, he was struck down by the dragon Bethra Gildot, the banded wealth in the depth of valleys. But in the year 307, someone else assumed the identity, the Plane of Dusk. Wait, hang on. Well, oh, I see. It was brought back from the dead by the human necromancer Rakan Vigorsparks, the Empty Hunter, the Depth of Valleys, and fled to the Plane of Geniuses, and became a member of Directorils. Kobold became a thief? As if they would do that. Hey, Cassiopeia. Your brain has lots of power and is indeed the graphics card. I've never seen kobolds with the title before, but... Oh, this is interesting. Erdem was a deity that occurs in the myths of the defensive whip. Erdem most often depicted as a male trisil peregrine and was associated with mountains. That's a good name, Sor, S-O-R. Sor was a deity that occurs in the myths of the Royal Empire. Is most often depicted as a male human and was associated with suicide. To anybody just tuning in, we're just kind of putzing around in Legends today, in a new world. Kobold buried one, eh? Had some lovers, became a trapper, settled in Sprayed Livers, got married, got divorced, and died of old age in the year 89. Interesting. In the year 202, was brought back from the dead by a human mummy. And then fought in a bunch of battles. Okay, so what is it with kobolds being brought back from the dead? But was struck down by the Tower of Rorek Stram Swamcrests, the bloated callous. I need to know what that is. Swamcrests. Swamcrests. The bloated callus was a tower of Rorek, born in 226, of unknown parentage, a towering feathered humanoid. It had 3 short horns, and its charcoal feathers are long and narrow. This night creature was first created by the human necromancer Rorek Tuftdwashed of Morning Nestles. After horrible experiments and multitudes, or on multitudes in Fair Shack in the year 244. Became the holy defender of the Order of Tangling. That's a good name. The Tower. Tower of Rorex. The Towers of Rorek. Means influence? That is also a good name. It's a good name and it sounds cool because it means influence. Or did he just make a bunch of influencers? He made a bunch of streamers. But was, and is still alive to this day. This creature. Got a lot of kills. Whoa. Killed a bunch of demons. Killed a bunch of demons. Unless those are just like named things. Plague Ghoul? Yeah, the Thagutsa's demon. I wonder if those are just more experiments. They might just be experiments. Literally a sentient tower? No, so it's just the name of them. So necromancers can perform experiments, basically making mutated crossbreeds. And that's what this is. And its title is it's a tower. Like the plague ghouls that this thing was killing and buried ones are other types of experiments in intelligent undead. They show up as a capital red H in the game. I'm gonna look up Enjoy Watched. Enjoy Watched. Cam Enjoyed Watched was a Thataluga's demon born in 71 of unknown parentage, a hairy humanoid with thin wings of stretched skin. Its charcoal hair is long and shaggy. This night creature was first created by the human necromancer Rorek Tuftwashed. After horrible experiments on the human base, murdered Scald in Sect Tightness in the year 218. So why did this necromancer, Rorek, Tufted Washed, create two different types of creatures and then they fought with each other? Was born in the year 129, Rorek became the representative of the domains of Blunting. Became a member of the Order of Tangles. Had somebody form false friendships. Began an apprenticeship under the human empty hunter. Tower, fact or fiction. Wrote a couple books. Necromancers can create necromancer experiments. They're weird crossbreeds. They show up as capital H's on the map. Usually red. Or whatever you have red set to be. This dude just went batshit. Making plague ghouls. The Guta's demons. So many plague ghouls. Yeah. He's making so many experiments. Was busy in the early 200s. Became a member of the domination of fortifications and performed more horrible experiments. Definitely raising an army, but they all killed each other. That's the thing. Every single one of these separate guys that I've looked at killed one other demons. Like, he's building 3 armies, and at some point they all fought with each other. Hello, Stephen Robert. Glad I can help, Jocko. Yeah, just continued performing horrible experiments. Not a demon war. It was like at least infighting between his armies. Yeah, he's still performing horrible experiments to this day. Mothek Wonder Donkey, the empty hunter, was his master. Was a former master. Just for fun that they do it? I mean, it's one of the things that they can do. I don't know if they necessarily do it for fun, but you'd have to ask them, frankly. Also, thank you very much to everybody who's hanging out with this stream. Seriously. It's good to have all of you. It's almost lunchtime for me. Would or wouldn't? I was gonna say. Who says they're loyal? Like, here's the thing, right? I had a world once, which I did for a 12-hour charity stream. I started a new fort. And the whole shtick of the fort was we were just going to smelt a bunch of coins and give them away for free. Because it was charity, right? But our outpost liaison was a feathery humanoid necromancer experiment. Like, necromancers can be any race, yeah. They can be anything. They could be animal people. Technically, they could be kobolds. Necromancer experiments can also take part in society. Like, just because they're horrible experiments, like, they can still be members of functioning society, like, you know, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, for example, right? So just because they're horrible experiments doesn't mean they're, like, necessarily evil. Like, goblins are bent to be evil, right? But goblins are only bent to be evil because the leader of their factions are demons. Like, demons start the goblin factions, right? They found the goblin factions. But if a goblin happens to get separated and raised by dwarves, or ends up moving away and living with humans, maybe that goblin happens to have a bunch of very peaceful traits, which can happen, even though they're usually still sometimes cruel, and can be, like, more bent on being, like, aggro. But just because they're a goblin doesn't mean they're inherently evil. They could be... Yeah, exactly. The abominations are people with feelings, too. And that's something that I love about Dwarf Fortress, is anything can be anything, and anybody can be anybody, and... You know, you could... There's always those legends of the elf that was the king of a dwarven civilization because, like, well, it was raised with dwarves, grew up with dwarves, and just outlived everybody and eventually got smarter, so they eventually made it into the king. And that's it's part of the reason I love Dwarf Fortress so much, is because it's... Yes, it's this weird simulation, but it's also like this almost idealist idea of what a world could be, you know? And I think that's really fucking cool, and there's not a lot of games out there that do that. Legends just kind of shows you all of that. And I think that there's so many people who play Dwarf Fortress and don't even look at Legends, because it's... Why would you just go read a book when you can play the base builder or the action RPG? It's like, well, because this is where you get to see everything kind of in one little package. Nice. I like it. But yeah, this is the Land of Dawn, I think, was it? That we generated today. Who knows? Maybe we'll do something with this world outside of just peeking into it in Legends. Because, like... We have all of these fortresses that got taken over. But I really like this spot right here. Because there's this good biome and an evil biome. So right next to it, you could just do a good and evil biome. But yeah, most of those events that we were looking at, or a lot of them, happened in this area. The Wall of Connections. I'm looking for other areas that we've seen. Team Torment, the Fenced Banners. This is kind of like the last real goblin, or not non-goblin dwarven holdout up here. About DF's psychology system? Really? Did you have to explain what Dwarf Fortress was? This is a fucking cool world. I like this world a lot. It's very evil, but it's a cool world. All right, chat. I'm gonna go get lunch. I've been streaming for how long? 3 hours and 30 minutes plus 15. That was about 3 hours of Legends. I'm going to go quickly use the toilet, and then we're going to play Risk of Rain 2's 1.0 patch for the rest of the stream. Because, frankly, I want to play it. That's for me. So if you would like to just listen to DF stuff and stories from Dwarf Fortress, there's the most recent one I've put out. Most recent little story from DF. But there's more Dwarf Fortress on that YouTube channel than you could ever watch in a lifetime. We actually just hit 3,000 subscribers. So final project, you were allowed to choose any subject as long as you could relate it to psychology. That's awesome, actually. When was this, Stephen Robert? It's fucking cool. But, yeah. Today's been flooded with technical difficulties and various issues. Heck, I've even dropped frames, apparently. I think it was just last year. Wow. Although, to be fair, 2020, it's been like 6 years worth of time. So, thank you so much to those of you who've been hanging out. It's we got very kindly rated by Kiri earlier, and it's been kind of a rough couple of weeks, statistics-wise. So, thanks to those of you who tune in and watch the stream so often, because, frankly, I wouldn't be here without the most dedicated people who watch this stream. You know, I try and do really niche things on this channel, and it's, for lack of a better term, kind of difficult. So, I will be back in a little bit. And then we're going to switch over to Risk of Rain. Probably still talk about Dwarf Fortress, but see you guys in a minute.